Welcome to the Quintessential Listening Poetry Online Radio and YouTube Podcast, streamed live from the heart of Washington, D.C. Here, you'll find a portal to vibrant voices, echoing souls, and an ongoing celebration of the extraordinary power of language. So, prepare yourself to join host Dr. Michael Anthony Ingram and his special guests as they explore traditional and spoken word forms of poetry.
Hello, everyone. It was a revolutionary poetry moment on Sunday, August 18th, 2024, when the TESORO Women's Poetry Network seized control of the Quintessential Listening Poetry Online Radio and YouTube Podcast. A takeover of this magnitude was more than just a change of guard. It was a radical reimagining of the airwaves, a bold transformation of what a poetry podcast could be, and a new safe haven for women's poetry. The founder of TESORO, Stacey Artist Dyson, led this poetic coup d'etat. Black woman poet, playwright, and a cappella singer, Stacey has long explored and illuminated Black women's lives through her work. Poetry collections such as Lovely and Suffering and Follow Me on This, along with 6 chapbooks and 5 CDs, have established her as one of the most prominent names in the industry. Numerous voices have also been inspired by her workshops and performances around the globe. Stacey was joined by the following women from TESORO: Laura Lila, Shannon Lockhart, Zadika Poindexter, the poet Rose Gold, Jane Spoken Word, and Whisper Poet. They ushered us into worlds filled with raw emotion, piercing insight, and unapologetic truth. The power of each woman's poetry that day was truly transformative. In every verse, a bridge was built between perception and understanding, and in every stanza, a voice was heard. As we reflect on this extraordinary takeover, we're reminded of the need to create spaces for diverse voices. The TESORO Women's Poetry Network takeover wasn't just a moment, it sparked a movement. Please note, I did not go gentle into that good night without first asking a few questions. But now, without further ado, I give you Stacey Artist Dyson.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome to everybody who's watching this, who's going to see this. My name is Stacey Dyson. I am the head of TESORO, which is an international women's poetry network. We have members in Mexico, Canada, Colombia, Portugal, all over England, Australia, South Africa, and all over the United States. Our mission is to create, protect, and maintain safe spaces for women who work in words to do their work. And I am lucky enough, grateful, certainly, blessed enough to have 6 of the hottest voices on the planet right here, getting ready to throw down. So open your hearts, grab a drink, put on your hard hats, because the sky is about to fall in. I'm going to get us started real quick with a real quick poem, and then Whisper Poet is going to jump on the mic. I can't walk away from this. Can't treat it as an intellectual exercise. Can't pick it up like a book before bedtime. Cannot, will not sing, scrub, screw it into not being a fact. There is no poetry to deny or erase the truth. I am a Black woman. I breathe stories that have yet to be sung. I have and will continue to rock every body, heart, cradle on this planet. You can bend, shake, heartbreak me, or try into irrelevance. What you will never do, even in death, is break me. You did not provide me crown or wings. You have not the power to take them away. Whisper Poet, let's hear from you, babe.
Sidewalk sushi in New York air, and I'm watching people pass, embraced by old brick arms as birds, trees, and jazz flavor iced cold green tea. Yes, universe, I'm listening. Wasabi is a fresh bite of listen up in my nose and on my tongue, stinging me with grated revelations that prickle sleeping sulci. I've been umamified. Inhale and feel the moment root truth slaps my neurons. I am, therefore I think. Just let me feel my way. Salmon skin crunch is sublime on my tongue, alchemying virtue from verisimilitude, epiphany from epidermis. The bike riders bring messages from the divine, delivering bags of truth wrapped up in white paper, angel's wings or bicycle tires. I'd rather have it hand delivered. And the wambulance wails by, there but by the grace go I, God, it's loud. But maybe I require truth by IV. If there's a problem, it's not with my veins. Fate's been running game on me since before poetry gave me my name, feeding me lines of type O mixed with AB because I need one to sweeten what's there to heal the inner me. Message received. And I want to believe I know the difference between acceptance and a clutch play victory reception. Universe, I need you to hold for a moment while I finish this plate because I think this sushi might be made of truth serum and empathy. Don't force feed. I need to be shown and not led. There's a dove on my plate in the shape of ginger, a sweet pickled smack in my peace of mind. So let me sip that wisdom cup a few more shekels because money is time. Neural pathways are forming. I can smell it on the breeze. Time is money. I need another round of fortune cookies now, please. Divinity blessed me with knowledge before she headed to Tiffany that I don't need to understand to love you, and you don't need my understanding to receive. We are all in together now, so take my hand. We just need to breathe. Rain sings against my parched skin, and I watch the darkness boil towards me. The wind rises, and I lean into its embrace, waiting for Mother Nature to crack open the geode of her skies. Let the rain fly forth from that crystalline maw of jagged light. Lightning explodes from shimmering teeth, power to snap my bones and fry my flesh. Energy rides the air. I turn my head to feel the floating of my hair and breathe it in, that ancient humid scent of cleansing. I need it, like redemption. Come, storm, let the lash of water rage forth to drench me in the divine. Turn face to sky and throw my arms wide to bear myself to its fury. Saturate me in clean. Send my failures away in a flood of forgiveness. I will soak in self-love as the droplets tattoo me in a plit, plit, plit on my lips. Rain is life, and I belong to the living. So let the lightning AED me into a place called healed and forgiven as I shape my palms to fill them with the gleaming cloud gift straight from Zeus himself. Drink it down and feel the grace spread through me to quiet my thoughts. I am alive on this earth, counting my blessings on two hands and turning my cheek to receive these magical kisses God has sent to me from heaven.
Jen spoken word, and my piece is called Winter Has Come to America. I've turned on, tuned in, and dropped out in the 60s. You can call me a freak, but don't you call me a hippie. I spent the summer of love getting stoned and dropping acid. I protested a war that lasted and lasted. Released for the confines of society, brothers and sisters stood together in solidarity for equality and dignity. Because we know We demanded an end to war. Hell no, we won't go. We demanded civil rights and equal opportunity. We marched for all of humanity. The music of my time spoke truth to power. Grooving a slide, the family took us higher. RESPECT demanded Miss Aretha, Queen of Soul, while Eve of Destruction sang dark truths untold. And while Dylan mourned, we're just a pawn in their game by any means necessary, Malcolm X did proclaim. I'm black and I'm proud, testified James Brown, as Jimmy lamented. Why'd you burn your brother's house down? And as Marvin sang, mercy, mercy me, when will it end? John Lennon pleaded, give peace a chance. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rhyme the greatest of all time, my hero, Muhammad Ali. We were a social movement, youth on the rise, in a war for equality and respect for all lives. The women's movement defined our objectives. Feminist ideologies demanded equality of sexes. The Latino movement of United Farm Workers Unions improved farmers' pay and working conditions. The Chicano movement organized students. Education, not eradication, brought basic school improvements. The Black arts movement used art as a weapon. The Black Power movement championed pride and freedom. Angela Davis, Eartha Catwoman Kid, Nichelle Uhura Nichols, knocked Tommy Smith, John Carlos, Nina Simone, and still, idiocracy reigns. If you are other in America, do you do time every day? If you are other in America, is it a squeeze play? Living your life on an everyday beat, always on guard, avoiding white heat? Winter has come to America. We have been trumped. Whitey is blindly stumbling through life, feasting on fox, feeding his white. He's scared. Scared. Yeah, let me tell you it again. He's scared. Scared you'll take his guns, his God, his whiteness. So he hides in fright and distorted righteousness. Marching with tikis is a frightening aberration. Rivers of blood will stain our dawn with damnation. What happens to one happens to us all. Like dominoes, we all will fall. Silence is death.
Let's go, Laura.
I caught myself doing that thing again. Stumbling into something, doing something, moving without intention, knowing I have an idea, but honestly, I'm not seeing it come out like I desire it to be. Maybe I'll stumble enough in the right direction and somehow I get lucky with some guidance. But me? No, I have no clue what I'm doing. All I know is that I hope I look pretty enough for him to see me doing it. And maybe I get the validation I crave so much. Because me? No, the judge in me will never lighten up and compliment me. There is no end to the criticism once opening those thoughts up. Those thoughts have learned how to recycle past judgments and polish them all up as new. So after the beatings I've taken that caused so much internal bleeding, all while the racing thoughts have cycled over and over, I finally gave in to my inner judge. Sure, run my name through dirt, as I am no longer human. I am a seed. And I've learned a seed has to totally destroy itself in order to become a flower.
Ika?
My daughter keeps me company while I make dinner. We start with the Holy Trinity: garlic, bell peppers, onions. The first two are easy. The third is going to be a problem. I'm too sensitive, I've been told. It doesn't matter how I try to protect myself, it's everywhere. My hands, the air, I end up sobbing and have to walk away. Today we're watching news instead of cartoons, and I know something awful is coming. Pessimism is not my default position, but sometimes the world just won't stop. Sandra Blanding, Philando Castile, Corin Gainsing, Eric Garnering, Breonna Tayloring, George Floyding, Sonia Massing, serving and protecting me into submission. I stop blocking the blows and accept I need to figure out ways to explain this to my child. So I stand here, chopping onions and listening to my daughter's toddler speak, concentrating on the rise and fall of the knife so I'm not leaking both tears and blood as I hear why again murder isn't murder, or how the being breathing and brown makes me dangerous, or how people not so different from me keep dying, but that's not the point, right? Now I'm mincing words that sound like age-appropriate versions of the truth. Wonder if my child has seen this ritual enough times to know what's happening before she fully knows the language. I break my rhythm. I can't hold the knife steady. I can't breathe even. I can't stop the fear and the knowledge that this will happen again and again, and this goddamn vegetable keeps burning its way into me while the world is trying to cauterize me from the inside out. I can't stop myself from crying harder. I cry as I put onions into a bowl. I cry as I clean the chopping block. I cry as I try to clear my eyes with the back of my forearm. I walk away. Hold the sink with one hand and splash cold, clear water with the other, but this irritation is soaked into my skin. And some things don't come clean so easily. So I accept the burn. Pray for small and specific things to help this moment pass. My daughter asks, "Okay, mommy?" And I say, "No, baby, it's onions."
That was absolute fire.
Janet, honey, you're up.
You suckled the tragedies from my breasts. It came in my milk, choked you, made you scream even as you tried so desperately to nurse without drowning yourself. All I wanted was to comfort you, feed you, but my milk was tainted with memorias fuertes of sadness, uncried tears. It was salada, tragic. It was all I could give. It was my brokenness. I left you crying each day with a father who couldn't feed you, couldn't give you comfort. You wouldn't take my milk from him while he was nursing his own tragedies. You refused to take them in. The hormones inside my womb, they came from the anxiety, paranoia, terror. You bathed in that amniotic fluid filled with my history, poisoned by me. That's what killed our first child. It was too hostile. The onslaught of fear, anger, from slipping into the cord that tied us. Couldn't calm down enough to grow that life. We found out on Mother's Day that you were dead. You had been dead inside me for 3 whole weeks, and I couldn't even tell. What sort of a mother doesn't notice her child dead inside? And what sort of child almost kills his mother? The infection was already starting. That's how it was. Who the fuck are all of you to voice my deepest insecurities, to judge me and blame me for his death? I didn't mean to kill him. I never asked for the D&C. They wouldn't even let me stay awake, say goodbye. There was no body left to bury, just parts to analyze in the lab. Deep down, I knew that I wanted you too much, and their cruel comments slammed that reality in my face. My milk has finally dried up. I have nothing profound to offer. I gave what I had. Your anger echoes in my head. I've ruined everything for you, you sobbed as you pushed me away. I broke you. And now my own tears don't even come. They have long since dried up with my milk.
Rose Gold,
The doctor is in, it whispered. What is it you have to tell me? And you don't have to come at me with all of your satiny, sophisticated diction, picture-perfect poise, or glammed-up, glittering generalities. Give me your grit, your grime, those elements that gutted you like a Halloween pumpkin and left you hollow. I want all the mud that they slung that caked up your gaping wounds. Come flat-footed and unbalanced, unready, unsteady, unsure. Tell me of that sick, silly savage that slayed your sense of solace and tried to steal away with your sanity. I want it all. Tell me how the word locked lips and French kissed you, relentlessly teasing and tormenting until you finally allowed them to roll off your tongue with an ear-splitting voice equal to 100 thunderclaps, as its target folded and fell in on itself like the Twin Towers. This is not the place to play dress up. Put all that glam back in the closet and save it for the after party. I am here for the naked and uncensored, unrighteousness in the raw, for the shackled yearning to breathe free. And with a check 1, 2, leave your yoke at the altar of redemption. End poem.
her name is Marissa Alexander. Make sure you put some respect on that name. Folks still debating over whether she had the right to participate in her own survival. She hit the ceiling because the bullet wasn't meant to hit him. She hit the ceiling because she had to hit back, and she couldn't take the chance of laying hands. Guns aren't the only actions that backfire. Her name is Darnella Frazier. You need to put some respect on that name. She filmed the murder heard around the world, and folks wondered why she didn't drop her camera and do something. A little Black girl in this jacked up world, what was she supposed to do? Get herself hurt or killed trying to fight back? Or do what she did and bear witness in the best way she could? Her name is Fonnie Willis. You best lay some respect on that name. The death threats come every day now. The big stupid bad is making it his business to question every breath she takes. And his followers are balanced on the edge of his lies, ready to take aim. The law is supposed to convict him, protect her. She is going to prosecute. She is going to make sure liars and thieves and people who persist in trying to steal the last vestiges of the American dream pay the toll. She has been cajoled, warned, threatened, back off before you get dead. What is she supposed to do? Abandon her promises? Black women don't do that. And we only run when there is no other way, because we know you have to be alive, fight. Faith and the marshals are watching her now, but all that prayer won't stop a bullet. Her name is Simone Biles. You best lay some respect on that name. Reigning queen of the stratosphere. Nobody can toy with air and movement the way she does, till one day she stopped. Her light tripping needed to rest before she hurt herself, so she laid down for a minute. And the world jeered and called her soft, questioned her commitment, talked smack about how some people get spoiled and can't take the heat. What was she supposed to do? Keep risking injury to define the true nature of light and its movement? Risk injury so people could keep making money off the way she could bend time between dance steps, grit, and moves that showed the old routines the door and told them not to come back, ever? Die? So y'all can keep bragging that she was our free pass to show the world what Black folk can do and how America has always been excellent. How dare she think of herself? How dare she? Folks tend to forget. A star always knows how to spin in the heavens, but a star doesn't. She didn't. Somewhere along the way, y'all need to lose that attitude. Black women get to self-love, self-care, protect themselves, and you don't have to like it, approve or co-sign on our life decisions. Keep your second guessing and insults to yourself. We're grown and we know how to act. And the world better be grateful for the fact that we pay such close attention and let us be, let us breathe the way we're intended to.
Thank you. I don't know what to say. Laura, why poetry? Why now?
We're at a point where we need that authenticity and vulnerability, and let people know it's okay to process it, whatever it is. And I think we have so much words, we're able to process it with words and put it out there. So it gives that momentum to be like, okay, you're not alone in this. It's okay. Just keep going. So that's my reason for poetry now.
All right. Very nice. Anyone else? Why poetry? Why now? Talk to me.
Zadika, why don't you field that one?
I'm raising a little girl. And if I go quiet, she goes quiet, and that is not acceptable.
Word.
Anyone else? Why poetry? Why now, good people? I want to know. Somebody tell me, please. Why poetry? Why now?
We're griots. We're storytellers. You know, we are the ones who put the word out there in a way that the media does not, in a way that politicians do not, and politicians should not, because they're not honest. You know, we have our ears to the ground. We talk about what we experience. We don't just pull stuff out of the clear blue sky. You know, and I say all the time, you know, when someone reads our work 20, 30, 50 years from now, they could understand what's going on because they got it directly from the source. So it is our civic duty, it is our job to deliver. So if we stay quiet, you know, like Zadika said, you know, if we stay quiet, the people we're supposed to speak on behalf of will remain silent. There's a difference between quiet and silence is deadly.
Thank you.
We are paramedics of the pen. We give permission to all of us to share our traumas. And in voicing those things, we heal ourselves and we let others know who have gone through similar things that it's okay. It is safe space. Speak your truth, heal your heart, and grow together as people.
Thank you.
You know, this is a question for you. Come on.
Will you call out, Stacey? Will you call out, Stacey?
I'm calling you out.
I fucking knew you were. Oh shit. Poetry is important because I've been writing poetry a long ass time. And one of my first poems that was very, very political was a poem against the Vietnamese War. And you could read that poem today and it would still be on point. So we have to keep the times recorded. We have to keep the atrocities have to be said. They have to be spoken out loud. They cannot be just brushed away. And, you know, I always tell people I'm nothing but a ream of paper and a burning fucking pen, because I will not let you rest. I will not let it slide. We are here. We're here to fight. We will burn your ass down. We are women poets, and we do not lay ourselves down for anybody. Period. End of story.
Stacey, let's continue to explore the diversity of women's voices in poetry. Round 2.
Okay. Whisper, darling, you're up.
Music was manna from the heaven we created. Now it's the lash of the whip I braided because you're gone. And I see that it is myself I have flagellated with our songs. I play them one by one, a hair shirt of lyrics and drum lines, Guitar riffs and choruses excoriate my heart as the melodies float through my mind. Their notes, the moss on a live oak, swaying gently in the breeze of your passing, rising and falling, charmed by your baton, O demon conductor. You coax them on the wind. They rise and swell, and my tears ride shotgun as they well to your crescendo. I thought I would die after you dropped our beat, but I survived to swim in the torture of memories that bloomed within like roses, red as heart's blood. My insides are filled with blossoms and thorns, and remembering you is a beauty that destroys. I bleed internally as I tend our garden of self-destructive joy, but oh, that sweet strumming of the guitar. I picture your hands on the frets in my mind's eye, your dexterous fingertips, swift and sure, pressing strings and coaxing them to sing for you. I close my eyes and I'm transported to us, the moment when our every breath rose and fell in syncopation, and I couldn't decide which of my senses loved you the most. I devoured you with all of them, without restraint, rhyme, or reason. I wrapped myself in cloth woven from our words, the thread of emotions poured out to origami into delicate lace. I embroidered you into my existence, gossamer as a spider's silk and deadly as a trap, for only our words survived, and they have wrapped me tighter than a spider's prize. I was contentedly tied, buried myself and spun in giddy circles. I shibaried myself in self-deception as I reveled in the vibration of your songs against my skin. Your voice was my orchestra, but it no longer sings for me. Out of self-preservation, I must not listen to our songs anymore. I wish to be deaf of these tones, pressing my palms to my ears, pressing with all my might, la, 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 burn the playlist and bury the ashes in my garden at midnight. Let that which was once breathed reverse from my lungs. It is not an oxygen I can cellularly transmutate anymore. Our music was everything to me, and it carried our hearts towards the heavens as gently as the wings of a dove, but I am a siren, and now only the ocean may sing to me of love. I had become water, contained, pure and sweet to fill your cup, and you drank me like life. I poured into you liquid hope to rejuvenate your soul, but when your thirst was satisfied, I was restrained, trapped in glass on a table, abandoned, waiting patiently for your return, paused in readiness so that again, your cup I could fill. You are gone, and I am a memory of the raging thirst you slaked. I was once your cold and clear, but I became null when you left, the void, a well of pain so deep to permafrost the casual spelunker, but frozen created space to think and grow, where I healed in silence and created grace for self and trauma's aftermath. I am the coming river once more, flowing, moving. I was meant to feed this life. My vibe is a prize, and a cyclone is my mind, not wishing to give myself to someone who has no thirst for my heart's blood, but would instead place me in a vase to sit contained. I will unfold my hands where they rest gently upon my lap, ankles crossed like the lady you heart slapped was raised to be. Be mindful and keep your ear to the ground. It's the only warning you'll have before I tsunami you. Did I not tell you when we met? I am the place men think to own before they drown.
Embarking on a quest. My visionary process of poetics to explore human realities. The rejection of the sacred cows of traditional Bible-thumping technicalities. A condemnation of the distorted machinations of the jihadist idiocracies. acknowledging the depth of evils perpetrated against the other than white. A trail of tears, slavery, mutilation, rape, devastation, destruction, murder, mass incarcerations, hatred, and intolerance. Sorrowed by the purposely inflicted pain of one human upon another, I weep at the heartlessness of it all. My function as the poet is to navigate everydayness, dive into the abstract of experimental inventiveness, venture into the unsuspected, unexplored otherness, quench this thirst for experimental creativeness, exorcise the practice of human separateness, conjure the spirit of comprehensive calmness, imaginate alternative futures of oneness, celebrating kind-heartedness. My responsibility as the poet is to introduce a new poetic speech, to introduce peace and prosperity, to atone for the atrocities of humanity, escaping criticisms of a so-called right-wing moral majority, underwhelmed by the politically correctness of a bleeding heart left-wing minority, liberated to generate awakening with dazzling vocalic imagery, released from the superficial simplicity of mindless, endless hate that is wedded to a concentrated doctrine of religious states, absolved from past sins of our obscure fate, questioning the abandonment of how and when we became not me, them, not us, intellectually disoriented by the unintelligible herding of minds, curving words, staining vowels, revealing the non-anticipated time, engaged in abstractions, committed to shine, to Black Lives Matter, to Standing Rock, to dreamers, to youth on the move, to women on the march, to inspire tribal resolution, where I and he and she and me and the rest of yous, including all of us, become we.
Because it always has felt like if it's always right there, underneath that chair, we'll soon get to see the ones laughing at the dead while leaving others on red. With a core to ice from within, they'll never bleed out, even if it is a shootout. Or look a little farther and see the other ones running rating races, holding their breasts, suffocating their breaths, forgetting the pace, and outrunning the wit, just because they don't seem fit. But yet, please don't forget about the sick, for they always feel like they'll get the short end of the stick, while never having enough to carry out a pop-up shop, while all cracks can pop your mama's back, and cops are allowed to pop off, even with the shaky trigger finger. No, it's these days. It's these days. Have you ever noticed how you could hyperventilate about the future while your toes are still left frozen in the past? You know, these days we're isolated and we are in a split, seen as fit, and a gross cynicality painted amongst your walls with no acceptance of it all. Have you found yourself unable to loosen a grip between your molars while an inner monologue goes off the rails telling you that not relying on others is the way to be? I say don't. Because these days are not meant to be lived hidden away. Because the thing about hiding from the world is that you start hiding from yourself. So instead of that, go find your circle of people that you roll deep with, that no notification is to be left unread. No, these days are some strange ones, but time reminds us nothing is to remain the same, as the only thing perpetual is change. So I say to you humans that while in temporary madness, all will sound distorted. So might as well go outside and listen to some wind chimes in the meantime.
Harriet Tubman's advice on leaving. Listen to me. You better run. Something will always be there to shackle you in place. There may be good reasons to stay put, child. That does not mean you have to, or that you should. Run with intention. Grab your dignity and respect and rest. Run. Gather your grace and journal and favorite song. Run. Under the cover of night or blazing sunlight. Run. You're going to need to leave some things behind. It's going to hurt. I can't lie. Behind you, people and memories might hunt your heels, hungry for your presence. Run on anyway. Carry nothing other than the fact you done seen some shit. I know. Me too. Still, because, despite, run. And if the sound of my voice distracts you, leave me behind too. I was never the reason. I am just a guide and never saved a soul who did not have their own dreams pushing their mind and body forward. Babe, run. To people who cherish your freedom as much as their own. To a place possibilities spread out across a new infinite landscape, then you are the only one who decides what's next. And if when you finally stop, you step just a tinge lighter, breathe a pinch easier, sleep deep and dreamless, that's freedom. And it's out there. I promise you. Gather together, breathe deep, and run.
Holy shit, what a poem. That was dope, Zadika. That was absolutely dope. Yeah, boom.
Objectivity is a miserable, fucked up justification for hierarchical bondage. It tears apart connection, chopping it up on a block to sell for profit. Colonized therapy parses out our humanity as if authenticity can be meted out, dealt around the table like a deck of cards, betting on who wins the pot like there can still be enough to go around after the winner takes all. Fuck the limits they place on my love, poisoning the only free thing I have left to give, the only thing I try to keep unspoiled. They capitalized on that by giving me labels that give them job security while I drown in gaslit hallways and closets. They're passing the bucks around to gatekeepers who rubber stamp my worthiness to be in society, who get to decide how I get to feel, how I get to live, who has agency over my trauma and what new structural nightmare shapes my future. But today, I left my fucks at the door with the receptionist, and I claim this space for me, ripping down the gate between us, erasing the pretense, because I know I matter, and the only healing that I consent to is the one where we break free together. You erase my humanity, gaslight the fuck out of me, pin me down to mess with you, never need to put face to face because you already own me. You take away all that is precious to me, fill my head with insanity, laughing, touching, penis in the face, rubbing. It's all my fault because I'm nothing. Yeah, you made that clear. I am nothing. I won't fulfill your fantasies because I'm a wasted space and I want to be just a fat bitch excuse to abuse because I know how to provoke. Yeah, it's all my fault because I'm nothing. You made that clear. I am nothing. Worse for wear, but can't shed a tear, empty like the dumpster, heart pounding like a mother, staring at the hole in the wall next to my head, beginning to wish you were dead because this life is nothing. With you, it's nothing. Redemption comes when I scream into the night, no longer fight or flight, naming the names of those who wronged me, taking notes from memory, and then I finally lift my gaze and fix it past you, because you're nothing. You hear me? You're nothing.
This poem was brought to you by the letter P. Pardon this interruption. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. Newsflash, our planet is in peril. Perplexed? Ponder living in a perpetual state of panic, previewed as prey by persons who painstakingly pursued you as their favorite pastime. To them, it's a constant state of play, a simply puerile state of mind. Plainly put, their persistence pushes them to be persuaded by their perverted sense of pride. Thus, your complexion, a symbol of perfection, is in direct violation of Articles W, H, I, T, and E. While pelted by the media's projectile vomiting, promoting the practice of character assassination, pride pleads for them to pull you apart and peer into your soul that attempted to escape from your fetid corpse that they left hemorrhaging in the streets. Punished disproportionately in the classroom, trauma in the pre-K, palpitations riddle the hearts of chocolate cherubs portrayed as pint-sized felons in waiting, pursuant to the school-to-prison pipeline. So you see, all is going according to plan. Yesterday was the day to start practicing your Huey P. Black Panther pistol grip. Today is not the day to lose your religion, but to start planning insurrection and revolt, and to purge patriarchy like the pussies you were plucked from at birth. The time is past for the peacemaker. No longer do we seek reconciliation from those who purloined our persons and property. Where is your passion? Did you use it all up for the pledge? Well, make a promise to your own self that you will not go quietly into the night. That you will not go quietly into the night. Paralyzed into inaction by fear. Instead, quicken your pace. Pass me the mobile so we will record the styles of Millennium Revolution, pulsating at a fevered pitch. And then pause for effect. End.
To a meeting a few days ago, hung back. Introverts do not walk up and mingle. Walked into the meeting room, smiled, and began the torture of introductions. The brown and black folks repeated my name, smiled, gave their names, hugged, nice to meet you. Me encanta corazón. All was mellow. One of the white women stepped to me, hold on. I know you think you know what's coming, but I wasn't even ready for this. She stepped to me, extended her hand, gave her name. I gave it back, said mine, smiled, said it clear, did not stutter, stammer, or whisper. She smiled again and called me Susan. I repeated my name, smiled again, and got again Susan. When I politely, gently, firmly corrected her, I did not stutter, did not stammer, I did not simper, whisper, or shy away. Her response was something I had heard of, but never had happened to me. What she said was, well, I can rename you. That's okay. And it wasn't a question. Sit down, breathe deep, and think for a minute. I had to sit down, breathe deep, think for a minute, and not follow my first inclination, which was to leap onto the Vaseline I could borrow. Truly, I didn't know whether to be more hurt, angry, or insulted. Because here's the thing. I've spent all of my life keeping level, or at least trying. I've spent all my life advocating for which battles to know to fight, baptizing myself in the blood of reason, and urging others by example to do the same. Only to be betrayed by all that time, all that calm, all that be reasonable. When some white woman looked me dead in my face and told me, I can rename you. And no, she did not say it like a joke. She did not apologize and make the correction. She did not excuse her offense, bad manners, abject ignorance. She said it as a fait accompli. She said it as if she owned the right not to be inconvenienced. She said it as if I did not own the right to honor the intention of my parents, who did not stutter, stammer, or misspeak when they gave me my name. And yes, it was a big deal. And yes, I still feel the sting of her privilege landing on who I am. I felt the condescension. I felt the dishonor to my ancestors, slaves whose true names were changed to be made easier to bid or forbid, dehumanize, claim as property, easier to break down. I remembered the stories of Native elders sent to reservation schools, given other names to standardize, demoralize, erase history, train memory of life beginning from when they said, bring them to a God that wanted them humble and subservient. I saw the incredible pain, the indescribable pain in my friend Pablo's eyes, heard his voice shake, talking about being tied up and left in a closet for hours, slapped, starved, shamed for being brown children who would not answer to their Anglo names in class, who called to each other in Spanish on the playground, who were told they would not fit in, were too stupid to learn, needed to be normal, had to erase heritage to be given the right to exist. Family lineage, honor of ancestors, pride, part of who we are, how we came to be, dismissed, thrown away, ignored, beaten out of people to make them humble or less dangerous. So yes, it was a very damn big deal that this white woman said, I can rename you, and walked away laughing. I bet she didn't think about it for a second. Let it cross her arrogant, privileged mind, slow her roll for heartbeat. My standard threat to folks who get on my nerves, cause me pain, make me ache with wanting to hurt you is keep it up. I'll write a poem about you. So here's your poem. I can't call your name because I don't remember it. How's that for irony? When you hear this, I want you offended. I want you embarrassed. Yes, please be sick at heart. I don't care if you didn't mean it. I don't care if you thought it was funny. I just don't care. Don't even think about coming to me, cheeks and eyes, tear-stained. Keep your fragility to yourself. I am out of forgiveness for that particular sin. Wars have been fought over the right, the necessity, the honor of wearing the names our parents gave us. They did not stutter, stammer, or misspeak. You had no right. So, take your privilege and your fragile feelings and your Susan. Fold them up real tight and shove them hard, deep, and pointed somewhere where I can't be bothered to see your ignorance or hear you run your mouth.
Oh, yeah, Stacey.
I was really hoping you did that one.
Word.
I hope that poem is called Suck It, Susan.
No, it's not. You got to get the butts in the seats first, then you can blow them up.
And if I was standing there with you, I'd have been like, yo, back the fuck up. This is Queen Stacey, bitch.
I maintain if you name a show Suck It, Susan, people will actually probably show up.
Yeah, you got that.
They might think it's about something else, though.
Oh,
That's
shit.
true. That's true too.
They give
And I guess they're going to suck around and find out.
Okay. Please, there should be some decorum in the room. All right. So
Wait. There should be some what?
decorum. Cora.
We don't know how to spell
I
that.
don't know her.
Does anybody know that name or know what that means? That's kind of what I thought. Okay,
Is that a
moving
foreign
on.
language?
Okay. All right, what have I got myself into? What I would
That's
like to know
right.
from Shannon, though, I know that the membership in this illustrious group is worldwide. What I'd like to know from you, how do the connections and diverse women's voices provide a unique international perspective in terms of poetry? And how does your own work reflect this sense of community?
Well, I think part of it for me is when I lean into community and see and hear the strength of other people's voices, it gives me the courage to bring my own forward. I am new to doing work in this way. In terms, I'm one of those people who has written forever and never spoken any of it. But you know, if we don't start breaking down the barriers, and if we don't start finding common language that reflects us and that is us, then we're just going to keep getting pushed aside. So, this is the place where we riff off of each other, where we support each other, lift each other, and take over spaces that we have not traditionally been allowed in.
I like it. I like it. Anyone else? Talk to me, please.
Real quiet on the grid. We must need to move on to the third round, Michael.
Before we move, being a part of an international community, I think that's one of the reasons why I love Zoom so much, especially since with the pandemic, that it brought into existence for me. I had opportunities to meet and talk and hear and understand and love people from all over the world through Zoom. People that I call my friends, not only my poetry friends, but my friends as a result of Zoom bringing the world together.
Word.
So maybe that's where I'm headed with that question. How has having the opportunity, let's focus on Zoom or on any of these social media outlets, shaped your poetry?
I'll jump into this. It has completely terraformed my outlook and understanding of the world. Just having the ability to talk with people like you were talking about from all over the world, all different walks of life, all different sets of life experiences, what people have lived through, what they've gone through. And they bring all that, to the table, and we share it as poets in this raw, intimate, open way that you would never do with some person that you met on the street of a casual acquaintance. We get into some deep areas, and I'm so grateful for it. I feel like I live my life like a box of Neapolitan ice cream now, and I love that.
All right. I see Nona in the chat made the statement, if it wasn't for Zoom poetry, I would have never met Stacey, and I would have never joined TESORO.
For real. He used to take the blame for that. I will say that one of the best things about being able to do this via Zoom, to do it internationally, is that there are, at any given moment, just within our group, 47 different voices, 47 different backgrounds, 47 different opinions, how the world is moving. Poet needs as many windows on the world as possible. Zoom and connecting to people through Zoom gave us that. As Whisper said, we wouldn't be, I don't think, as far along poetically as any poet on the planet is if we didn't have this. People's hearts, hopefully, are opening up. There are more possibilities. People are studying new rhythm structures, all of that, everything that feeds into what it is that we do. So while the pandemic still is a curse and a blight and something that really should not have happened, if there was one good thing that came out of it, besides the fact that everybody got reminded to wash their hands, if there was one good thing that came out of it, it was this connection and this sense of community, which quite honestly was not there before. People stopped living in their own backyards and realized that the entire world was right there, tips of their fingers, and that all they had to do to make things better was to utilize that power.
Beautifully stated.
If I could add to that,
Yes,
you
please.
know, we used to talk about how, especially for adolescents, that social media could be harmful because it allowed them to express themselves in ways that were sort of like devoid of empathy, like the removal of the face-to-face aspect lessened empathy, and so people were not as kind to each other. But I think for us as poets, that same force has allowed us to be better because it took the filter off and allowed us to speak more unequivocally from our hearts. And of course, we're doing it in a loving, supporting way and talking about positive things. So it has allowed us to be more authentically ourselves and strengthen our voices. At least for me, it has had that effect.
You know, I can tell that I like you. It's not only because you're from North Carolina. It's also because of the fact I've written a number of articles on the use of poetry to develop empathy in relationships. So empathy is critical, it's key. Because as I share everywhere I go, that we may have different stories, different lived experiences, but there's a universal commonality in terms of our feeling, the feelings that go along with the story. I may not understand you, Jane, spoken word, but when you share the feelings that go along with your story, hey, I know those feelings. I've been up, I've been down, I've been in, I've been out. So I know those things, and that's where we can build that bridge between us. That's why poetry is so important. That's why it's important.
Here's how you translate Jane. Boom. That's it. We're going to go ahead. Ladies, this time, before you start your piece, give us just a little bit of taste of who you are. You know, give us a little thumbnail bio so people know who's going to be taking over the world in the next few minutes.
I'm Whisper Poet, and as Michael said, I'm from North Carolina. By day, I'm a corporate analyst, so I get to be the exact opposite on the mic. And I absolutely love to say things that sort of take you out of your heart rate for a minute. That's the best, when you can throw someone off their guard and make them smile. I ordered the sign for around my neck. I paid for overnight shipping, and I plan to wear it right out of the box because I'm dangerous. It says, "Do not feed my heart. It may eat you." Because I've come to know myself well. I'm on intimate terms with my brain, and I know it likes to hang out at this dive bar down by the tracks where the beer is cheap and someone will cut you over a surprise 8-ball shot. They don't mind when the karaoke's off key and the train rolls by every 12 hours, so you know when it's time to go home. It's in the middle of nowhere, beside a junkyard of old cars and the dreams that crashed with them. And nobody says anything when I step outside and bruise the sky with my rage, the way you bruised my heart with your lies. Love without emotion. Sorry, let me start over. Love without intention is emotional terrorism, and I do not negotiate with terrorists. How ironic that abandonment created revelation, but life imitates science, and fission ain't nothing but a breakup. Fusion is the goal and solution, collecting pieces of information, atoms of knowledge, ions of truth. Gravity created mass heavier than the black hole I've been living in. And the seduction of that button to de-exist your concupiscence into a fireball, a kick in your balls to punish you for that which was once loved, now masturbated, because your words never matched your deeds. So why was I so addicted to the tainted love you feed? I mistook your attention for honorable intentions. Now I'm my own intervention, needed a reboot and a reinvention. I had to make space for comprehension because living in this closet stifled my bright, and you don't deserve a seat beside me on my flight anymore. You can take a dive off of my wings. And if your chute doesn't open, I won't be there to offer you my umbrella. And you won't be able to adjust impact of landing by manipulating my heartstrings. The difference between lust and love is the square root of cause and effect, and I am no longer willing to genuflect at your feet. I will no longer tolerate your callous obfuscation or your withering disrespect. I'm tired of this cardiac infarction to clog my chakra. I need a course correct, an insurrection to engender the protection I needed to protect me from the you I wanted to believe was true. But I see clearly now the rain is gone, that you are a fever from the infection I'm purging. So get out while you can. Get out fast. I've got a hypodermic full of vancomycin 3.0 loaded, and you are nothing but a pain in my past.
Well, I'm Jane Spoken Word, and I'm from New York City. And I've been spitting poetry since the late 60s. Poetry is the air that I breathe. It's the words that I think. It's what I do every day. And this piece is called Sister Don't Whisper. Liberated by the written word, I am not my past life blurred. Despite what you've heard, my future transferred from a dactylogram of the past. Now at last, I am these emotions. I am this body. I am the ancestor's voice. I am the immortal story. Escape from the shadows of dark, from a tortoise shell safety, I depart from an abandoned bus at the station's car. A poet of the street beat, I'm a motherfucking warrior. I'll sharpen my pen and I shatter all barriers. Poetry released from an incarcerated mind, floating bars, I did my time. Getting back to my spit with some new shit. Who but the rhymer bring truths to bear? Who but the rhymer verse tragedies of despair? Pens dipped in the blood of suffering hearts, decoding deceptions, tearing lies apart, tumbling words that dangle in my throat, rendering remedies and antidotes, bleeding out into rivers of ink, drowning in rhymes of missing links. Where heaven meets hell, ain't no time to think. Collecting dreams from broken machines, melting metaphors and scorching similes, haunting the streets with spoken word poetry. I spit shit you don't want to hear. I spit rhymes to strip you bare. I'm as harmless as a neutron bomb. I'll hit your shit with chloroform because I am your audacious, bodacious, beautiful sister, and you better fucking know this sister don't whisper. Oh, that was fun.
I'm Laura Lila. I'm out here in Houston, Texas. And by day, I'm a community health worker in the medical field. And On my time, I work with a nonprofit organization that helps prevent and bring awareness to suicide prevention. I'm actually their spokesperson. And apart from that, you'll catch me in theaters, comic places, open mic places around town when I'm about. And a lot of spirituality. I go to churches, I go to spiritual meditations and just kind of open myself out to all the transcendence that happens around Houston. My next piece is called Roadkill. A psychic once told me, manda corazones y sigue mandando corazones. But wait. To my non-Spanish speakers, let me translate a little bit on that part where it says, I once went to a psychic and she told me, send hearts and keep sending hearts. Yeah, I don't get it either. So let me try to be clear and disclose a little bit more before I really get into it. You see, lately, my mind has been scattered and splattered, just like that blood found on the concrete streets you drove over on your way home. I caught myself overthinking about how that blood even made it on that street. Was it a hit and run? Was it an animal or a person? Shoot, all I know is that no matter what side of town I'm in these days, if I just drive a little further in, I'll see a homeless person finding a way to get comfortable to lay down to sleep on the same streets decomposing animals are being left behind there for days before they're even being picked up. But at least they're being picked up because the homeless, no. They're left there exactly where they are, handed a nickel as if it's by choice they want to be there. So I've been on this new road called sobriety. Because since I was a teen, doctors have been giving me more handouts of endless refills of pills that got me hooked on feeling numb. By the time I was already an adult, I figured, sure, going to bars after work is what adults are supposed to do. It just happened to be that I've already developed a higher tolerance than those around me. So at times, my tolerance seemed to be a little different every other night, maybe. Some nights, I didn't know how I even made it home alive, while other nights, I remember every detail. Down to the details where I caught myself counting how many altars do I see on the sides of roads this time. On the mediums between two-way roads and even altars found on highway barriers. Ain't that something? A family member risking their own lives crossing highway lanes just to build an altar right where their loved one took their last breath. It can't be me. It just can't be me who's noticing all these altars being more commonly built outside of graveyards these days to pay a tribute, impossible to attempt for loved ones to feel a sense of peace for their departed. It's as if somehow standing as close as possible to where their heart beated for the last time might be some momentum towards closure. But I gotta guess it must hurt like hell. It must break their own heart to know that that's where they were left to die alone. It's a beautiful world with such madness vibes, covered over like an umbrella with holes. But no, wait. Yeah, this sounds a bit pessimistic, but please let me disclose some more of where I'm coming from. I'm still grieving. I'm still grieving that half of us didn't make it past 2020. I'm still grieving that every time I hear my best friend talk about how much she misses her mom and dad, I'm still grieving over the tragic stories my boss can speak about with years of running a homeless shelter. I'm still grieving parts of myself I missed because of unfavorable circumstances I had to face. I'm still grieving because the news will never lighten up about how fearful it is to truly be alive these days. I'm still grieving every time I get out of my own neighborhood to see that altar that has been built on the medium where I turn left onto my way to work every morning. They keep this picture there day after day. I look at that vato and I don't even know him personally, but I can't help myself catching the sight of his eyes in those pictures and understand that those eyes no longer carry a light like the ones my eyes carry right now. And somehow his family is still grieving too. While people just keep passing it by day in and day out, rushing to get to their destinations, to probably rush even some more once on arrival, all to keep rushing in and rushing out on the same thing over and over again to somehow keep sustaining their place in this competitive world. This world keeps racing all to the same end, taking nothing we maturely have gained during our time here. Then, of course, suicide is up in the ratings for our youth. That's why these kids find it so hard to see what's the reason to why even bother to be here. While our culture glorifies material gain, but yet we are all going down underground with nothing to take with us. So I don't blame them to be even asking themselves to why even try. Look, I've been looking really, really hard and working really hard on figuring out how to forgive myself for all the times that I catch myself cycling into guilt and shame about things that I've done in the past and going on overdrive in my mind. Looking back sometimes, I feel like I knew I should have been doing better and taking better care of the opportunities I had in my past, but somehow, no, wait. I know exactly how I've been getting better at forgiving myself. I've learned to unravel and unfold myself to God. It's been going like this. I hear passages being preached at church. I hear stories shared in safe spaces by others who are trying to heal too. I read and reread passages from the Bible until I see them play out in real time. I figured out if I truly scope out and feel out how to scoot over and let God take the wheel, that I'll actually learn how to cry in stillness and in more healing that runs miles with no ends. I've sat down, fidgeted until I've sat still to feel within my body how it is to accept every inch of what I have done in my past. Knowing now that at any given moment, I was doing the best I can. And God knew that whatever outcome I found myself in, I was always more capable of overcoming it, even without having a logical viewpoint of it all. All I had to do alone was to surrender in the pure faith, humbly accepting He knows more than I do. To give Him all my pain and pick up all the wisdom He graciously has gifted me. It's all up to for Him, for His glory. It's a redirection we need. It's not an outsourced destination. It's an internal excavation. We need to intentionally try this time. While yes, we have failed several times in the beginning, but don't let that stop you from keeping on and picking up where you left off, and to learn from your failures and try again, now with more strength. So if anything that I have given you from this piece, and that you could probably take home, is that you will pass up altars and roadkill of all sorts on the roads. And the difference from you and them is that you're alive right now.
My name is Sadika Poindexter. I am a resident. I was born and raised in Omaha, North Omaha, Nebraska. I run a small arts nonprofit during the day after I escaped from Big Pharma because that was ugly. And now I write poems about Black women and health and food. And that's how I navigate my world. So this is called Three Patients. Patient number 1, Black female, 68. Loves bread packaged Pall Malls, Geraldo Rivera, and that thick cut bologna with the rings around the edges. Complaints: diarrhea, pain, and weight loss. Self-diagnosis: bubble guts. Treatment: warm, flat Dr. Pepper and Pepto-Bismol. Patient number 2, Black female, 53. Ex-military and menthol aficionado, wicked chess game and graveyard shift superstar. Complaints: stomach and chest pain and nausea. Diagnosis: indigestion. Treatment: every antacid on the market. Black female, 40. 90 days postpartum, never shuts up, calls herself a poet. Complaints: chest pain and shortness of breath. Diagnosis, in layman's terms: bitch, you fat and you just dropped a bit. Treatment: lose some weight and take this diuretic. In each case, we should be fine, right? We saw doctors, we accepted treatments, we did not get better. Patient number 1 is my grandmother. Riddled with cancer so far gone they could not operate. She died in a still mortgaged house less than 6 months later from the same illness that took out half of her siblings. Patient number 2, my mother, who fought and finally had a test that found a tumor so large she moved to the top of the surgery list. Half her stomach was removed and she still sports a crescent-shaped scar as a reminder. Patient number 3, me. I got tired of shallow breathing my way through every day and walked myself into the ER. They found a 3-pound tumor pushing my heart and lungs out of the way. I guess I really did need to lose some weight. To diagnose is to identify the nature of an illness, to find what's wrong, the real problem. Not the first option after the 13.5-minute interaction and figuring out which pill the hospital or the drug companies prefer. It is a statistically likely scenario that what is wrong is less likely to be found because before I say a word about my actual symptoms, I have assumptions working against me. Because I've been diagnosed as Black, as a woman, as strong, as drug-seeking behavior, as having bad lifestyle choices, as underinsured, as hysterical, as treatment plan non-compliant, as intimidating, as taking too damn long, and we got to keep it moving to the next patient. Doctors cannot diagnose what they can't see. Correction. Doctors cannot diagnose who they won't see, who they won't hear over the noise of their superficial vision. You have to see us. You have to listen to us. You have to know of all the things you might think in an appointment. Here's what you better know. My body and experiences deserve to be regarded with your full attention. I want to live. I will not accept anything less than your best care. So when you go back to write down my patient notes, include the following. My grandmother didn't believe she would be listened to. It cost her her life. My mother wasn't listened to and spent months in pain. I had to yell at emergency room techs for something I had been calmly trying to tell my doctor about for months. And as long as I have a voice to say something, it will not happen to me and mine, not ever, ever again.
So I'm Shannon Lockhart, and I am a trauma therapist, an artist, a mom. I spent about half of my adulthood years living down in Central America, working directly with survivors of genocide. And now I work as part of a group called Therapists for Protester Wellness, where we help support activists by providing therapy services that are affordable and that are decolonized. So that's what I do. And this is the other thing that I do. I collect broken people whose souls glint in just the right way when the dirt is gingerly caressed off. with soft eyes and whispers. Our truths prune the knotted and systemic roots from the tangled ideologies that dumped them into these clandestine graves, the ones lining the ravines of society. Collective genocide does that. It strangles us into fragments, shards deemed unworthy for tangible use and conformity. I must insist on creating a mosaic of folks. Each sharp, precise, imperfect piece guides my alchemist's dream. We transform from dominant culture refuse into intrinsic parts of a self-evolving masterpiece, capable of creating and recreating themselves at will. Mutuality is the secret superpower that uncovers the lies sold to us in bulk, at bargain prices, and indentures us to a structure that collapses finally when the mosaic is revealed. The floor is where I feel my center, and even when I can't touch actual earth, I name that desire to be rooted on the same linear plane as you. It's how I know that you, this, us, is safe enough. I wrap myself in my blanket of art, the tangible reminder of where I've already journeyed and where we have yet to go. You are not my guide because I've mapped out the inner constellations, but I fear the dark fog that seeps in to snuff out my spark. I want to feel the energy of a fellow traveler, someone to steady my gait when I stumble over broken trust, someone who believes that I can go exactly where I need to be. In this quiet space, my words are braided together with feelings and sensations, and your presence soaks them into compassion. That braid becomes our ritual and my offering. It permeates the space between us, swirling in the bright notes of my art. My people's map was lost to me in the fog of dissociation, and I choke on the remnants of family secrets thrown into the corners of my being. My children's umbilical cords left behind and buried deep are a clandestine grave that now fertilizes kernels of corn that we no longer make into tortillas. We lost that map to genocide. All I own are instincts that rise from the echoed glow of past hearths, tended to by knotted hands that kneaded rye and barley, and the ghosts who patted out tortillas for my children. And the braid that I weave in the space between us, that braid has become my offering and permeates the in-between, swirling into the bright notes of my art.
Hello, fire singers. My name is Jennifer, better known in these circles as the Poet Rose Gold. I'm coming to you from Colorado Springs, but I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. So I write and spit about a myriad of things, mental health, social justice, or injustice, however you choose to look at it, Black love, self-love, time in the military, just a whole bunch of things. So because of the fact we're not a monolith. So this piece is called, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Nesedi Malis, do not yield to evil or yield not to evil. She had no clue your coon's farm charm veiled an agenda, malice, aforethought that would reap nothing but a dead crop full of harm. She wished her eyes had been open from the start. There were multiple glaring red flags to pick up stakes and fly. Her conscience doth pleaded with her, but she ignored its cry. The whole nerve, texting directives for her to smile when you were the one trying to fade the sunshine from her face. Meanwhile, you buried your own under all that guile, as would the devil giving chase. She knew she needed off this ride, can't stagnate in virulence cloaked as affection, but damn that pride, the world couldn't know of your constant rejection. You open up her body to deposit your trash, tarnishing her gold with a sulking, sullen frown, then bag her up and usher her down to the curb quicker than Negroes out of sundown towns. She thought it rather odd you could neither handle hand-holding nor your inability to kiss, but her expected to magically redeem your failed attempt at manhood and clean up after your toxic. Not a jewel carefully chosen, but rather like wild game, caught. That's how you went about courting women, silence their voices, dismiss their thoughts. Or like fireflies in jars, contain them, then extinguish their light. Your self-hate, perhaps, could be an example of black flight. Black sit, you misogyny tool for the white patriarchy. They'll love you until they discover your penchant for their women. Then you'll just be nothing more than another hick darky. I realized why it took so long to forgive you, because I first had to forgive myself for allowing you to reduce my forests to ashes and chuck them in an urn rooted to the shelf. It took a long time to return to me, had to take out a missing persons ad on my own soul. To forgive is to know freedom, and this is exactly how it goes. I will not allow myself to be yoked. I am not the red nose to your clown. I am no longer the butt of your jokes. I will not stuff myself down. And
I'm Stacey Artist Dyson. I've been writing since I was 5, performing since I was 19. Still claiming San Diego is home, although I'm in New Mexico right now. And I am lucky enough to be the innovator and lead poet for Tesoro. Mi padre ne de mi rosa. He said it was so I would always be reminded of pretty things, flowers and light and love. That is very hard to do. In this border camp where everything is despair and lost hope, harsh light and broken families, yo no soy una flor, yo soy una niña. If I were a flower, I could ride in the band of my father's hat, the only one he ever owned. The brim was cracked with ragged edge, but the headband was strong, tempered with sun and sweat from the labors that made the money to bring us across. I wonder if he still has the hat, or if somebody took it away from him and threw it away, the way they took his daughter and threw her away. When I was young, I remember my mommy bending in to kiss my poppy welcome home. I stood between one hand wrapped around my mother's knee, one around my father's, a rose growing strong and vibrant in the fragrance of their love for each other. I cannot feel that sun now. Just the lights that shine constantly overhead. If I was a flower, I would be in his pocket, fragrant and close to his heart, be close to where he kept the money to make the coyotes not look at me and say evil things, lick their lips and say evil things. I don't have much English, but I know what they said was wrong. Made my father hold my hand tighter than he ever did when we walked at home, hold me closer, shielding me when they passed by to count how many souls they planned to release to the desert or deserted alleyways or dark, cold stretches of strange highways, not look at me like the guard here looks at me. That guard, he looks at me the way I remember the bad drunken men looking at bodies of women in the street, the soldiers looking at bodies of women on the street. He looks at me that way. The older women, they tell me stay away from him, pull me into chores or conversations when he is near, try and hide me away from his glances. But when he sees me in the halls or my room or playing fields, he watches me. He looks at me like the soldiers, like the drunks and bad men watch the bodies of women in the street. Once, He ran his hand over my hair and smiled and said, "Que linda chica, you're a pretty thing, ain't you?" The older women surrounded me, pulled me away, but they cannot always be close. And I am afraid because sometimes he comes for the older girls and they come back very quiet and very sad, and I can feel their fear. Sometimes they cry out when they sleep. They run and pull me away too, lie down by my bed, but they don't sleep then. Their eyes are open to watch for me, to protect me, but they cannot stay awake forever. My papi, he used to take me to count stars, watch the cool earth with the moon singing to me, so that I would learn not to be afraid of the night. I am always roses stand strong against the wind. Call the rain their sister. Breathe free air. Yo no soy on the floor. I am a little girl. Mi madre está muerta. Mi padre is out in the world without me. One day, when a mariposa landed on the windows, a rose can talk to a butterfly, right? I asked her to please find my father so he can take me to where I can rest, breathe free air, feel the night, sing gentle with the moon. Sometimes I do not think I have another season. I may never see mi papi again. The butterfly may never deliver my message. Why should she? Butterflies only talk to flowers. And I am not a flower. I am just a little girl. Je ne soy una flor. I am not a flower. Yo soy una niña. I am just a little girl. I am just a little girl. So what we're going to do is go right into the last round. Y'all already been throwing your A game, so I can't say do that. Just go ahead and stratosphere us. That's all. That's all we need. So Whisper, darling, your last hurrah. Give it to us good.
I am crystallized honey and rose quartz, dancing from tip to tip on my cardinal points. The path in my garden of truth is soft. I walk on angel wings and cherub's breath, dancing under starlight. I am cinnamon and cocoa with coffee, black at midnight. I am a single droplet and the ocean where you will drown. Eve's daughter, puddle jumping through wormholes, floating away for too damn long. Now I'm Burger Queen, bending light my way. I just ground chili peppers into cosmic dust, snorted that shit Pacino style, vibing to my own highest. It's Nirvana or bust. You may skip to my loo, my darling, because I'm a live wire. The third rail, a shooting star. I'm your holy grail at night in desert air mixed with marshmallow fluff. 2 licks are a kick to your head. Eat it or wear it. Just don't ask how much sugar is in it. The Surgeon General declared me a level 1 risk to your health. I keep on ticking, and you best mind the boom, because I might be a Cat 5 teapot, a tsunami rainbow wave of inspiration in my mama's antique brass jam pot. Taste the breeze of my passing, but don't burn your mouth. That pepper is hot. And so is my hand of power. When I touch your third eye, you will know. Use it well. Be all that you are and nothing you're not. I'm 3/4 to the third power still here. And if 25 was the goal, I might cry for a second or two into your beer, but I have too much to do to cry over spilled rainbows. And so I just wanted you to know how good I am. hit the rim, took a charge, grabbed my own rebound, and flew to the edge of the stars to receive what the divine wanted me to know, that blessings abound, and we are all connected. Yes, I see that road fork coming. I've been birthing self-portraits in finger paints made of blood and oils, and I'm ready to lead and be led by my heart and my mind. They're arm wrestling for the ultimate prize of my destiny. No idea who's winning. I turned the volume down, but if you're a betting man, I'd say lay odds on my heart. Someone tried to cut it out, but I said, fuck that. You don't get to have that part of me anymore. Feels so good to belong to me, myself, and I in the hot tub of the universe, snorkeling in stardust. Take my hand and feel the sparks that ignite my blood. The universe has claimed me for its own. So buckle up, Buttercup, if you want to watch me fly. I got 4 on the floor and nitrous on my broom, and it's gonna be a hell of a ride.
Pour your imagination into mine, I will inspire. I'm the dream seller, the heartbroker. Grant you every earthly wish that you desire. I was born on the wings of the wind, hitched a ride on a shooting star. I'm the day tripper, the night rider. I've cast spells from here to far. I summon stars from the darkest heavens so the moon can find her way. Je suis la sorcière, la bruja, la curandero, conjure night skies into day. I coax rainbows from sad clouds crying, invite the planets to eclipse. I'm the palm reader, the fortune teller, turn your miseries to bliss. I can dream your tomorrow's sunsets, breathe color to the land. I am the wish dealer, the magic maker. Aurora Borealis is a dream I had. So won't you come here to my mountain and dig this groove I spin, and I will send you back with a pocket full of stardust and your name whispered on the lips of the wind. Pour your imagination into mine. It's just that simple.
So dreamy. This piece is called I Kept Driving. I drove around Texas on an empty gas tank, a mind stretched out with thick clouds, and a prayer to keep me going, to get to my destination that wasn't waiting for me. I spent days by myself on the roads, didn't keep up to call home, didn't even bother to strike up small talk with strangers. I only focused on finding a decent place to sleep outside with endless views of Texas stars. I found comfort in my curiosity to where a road may lead me to. I found myself less afraid of what I might stumble into and found myself more worried about those who stumbled into me. Most days I went without eating. I drank up on lemon and mint water, snacked up on mixed nuts, fresh fruits, and smoked packs of Swisher Sweet Cirillos to keep me awake, while other times I smoked spliffs to keep me going, pushing through depths of pain, numbing away, driving inward to this dreamy, endless wooden gates of guarded fields close to the side roads. I felt it all during those drives. All the rage, confusing anger, unspoken sadness, all that tied up knots of heartbreak leading me to an acceptance I would never find in this safely lit room. No, all of this had to be found on sides of strange roads, alone, in the middle of the dark nights only Texas can handle. When I eventually did make it back home, I always felt even more far gone than before. Until embracing a friendly face, I then would realize, oh, I did survive it all. I didn't die out on those roads.
Some families, they have parables about their history. Those folks can spin living tales about where they came from. Yeah, my family don't do that. No, we make peach cobbler. The best story that my family knows how to tell you will fill your belly with memories. And I have these things to share. It's a rolling pin and a cast iron skillet from my grand, and a recipe that's actually a lot more memory than manual. First, you bring water to a boil and add butter, because Maddie Fred, she accepted no substitutes the few times she actually decided to bake. Then some lemon and orange juice from late night experimenting mind. Brown sugar and a touch of white to complement the ripeness of your peaches. The perfect combination of cinnamon and nutmeg. Now that's going to remind you of my mama, her slightly red complexion in the summertime. You should taste earthy, not grainy, not too sweet. Then you stir till the liquid starts to cling to the back of your spoon, and you add peaches, fresh ones now. See, those fresh peaches have a tang and a texture you can't get out of cans. Those things cook down to mush, but the fresh ones, that lets you know you're really eating something, right? Reminds us of the days beyond commodity cans when fresh fruit was more than just a luxury. You let it all cook low and slow till that liquid starts to taste like fruit just added. Now look here, you're gonna have to taste it. Then you're gonna have to modify it, and then you're gonna have to taste it again. Because in this family, we learn things by doing, and we show up do not serve food that has not crossed our own lips first. If for no other reason, then your aunties are mean, and they will suck their teeth and push back their plates if you have the nerve to get this wrong. Now, once the filling is correct, you put it in the cast iron skillet, cover the top with crust, and bake it. And this part is very important. Once it's done, you got to take that crust and stick it all down in the bottom, because don't nobody want cobbler without those extra little bits of saucy crust. Then you cover the top with crust again and bake it. Wait for the perfect doughness, which is somewhere between the shade of my palm and the back of my hand. And when it cools, you have the perfect way to close out a family dinner, and the hint of buttery citrus clinging to the walls of your kitchen. You do it right, and you'll know that smell better than the directions home. Because this is how a family remembers. It's our potato salad, our jerk chicken, our seasoned vegetables. It's this peach cobbler. Our family history on a plate that is heavy with memory and butter and spice. So what I need you to do is take a spoonful, savor every bit of it. Let it roll around on your tongue until you know exactly what it tastes like when somebody loves you. Then take this recipe and make it your own. Accident your way into a couple of your own improvements. And if ever anybody anywhere has the nerve to ask you who you are or who your people are, baby, you better make them miss.
I am waiting for Viernes Santo. In Guate, there will be funeral marches, death, anonymous black hoods. I want that. I need to disappear into the thick smoke of the incense. Do penance. Cargar el anda. I blame the choking sensation in my throat, the stinging eyes, the nausea on Viernes Santo. All those years in Guate, my own culture was just a nagging memory in my mind. Now, I am physically back, but in exile. Holy shit. That was me. I was there. Fuck. There was blood. So much blood. Men with guns. Lots of guns. Shots, screams, threats, the stories. Oh God. Their stories echoed what we found in the pits. The bodies. We sifted the bones of the little children thrown into pits, bombed and burned. Disparos, nacuetes, saber donde, bullets and balazos. Tear gas. It was post-war peace, but not for Hardy, nor Chen, nor Barbara, not for us, nor Dina, nor Angela's daughter, not for the ones who are still unidentified, still in the montaña, buried, eaten by animals, or thrown into the rivers. Who will light candles for them? Who will pray for their souls? I marched, translated, listened, and dug. Who wouldn't? I volunteered an acompañante. I didn't know it would haunt me. Didn't know it would tattoo me, didn't know it would grab hold and never let go. The stories, they clutch me around the throat, squeeze, urge, nunca más, never again. After only a dozen years, I slink back to this place, here. I pretend to be just a mom, just a Spanish teacher with suburban dreams. Mucho gusto, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué color es tu casa? But at night, I watch my own two children. Their round faces and dark eyes give away the past. They are mirrors of their father, whose own memories of Civil War clawed him in the dark. And we can't forget those historic memories, so my boys can remember someday when they can handle it. Though I'm not sure I can handle it. I'm not handling it. I jerk awake in a panic because I walked away. I left, fleeing to save my own kids, my own family, and now I am in exile in the country of my birth, which long ago stopped being mine, despite what my papers say, because papers never capture one's heart. My hometown punishes me in my mother tongue, forcing me to try and make sense of those past moments from another language, another time, another world, my Via Dolorosa. I am paralyzed, censored, though moments still bubble up and make me want to puke. I don't know where to put the nightmares. Pendiente siempre. Heart racing. Who's listening? Who's following the vigilance? Constant vigilance. Others have been found. Of course we're safe here now, right? Aren't we? All I ever did was just observe, accompany, translate, though the words and feelings cut right through me, but they were never really mine. Not really, I don't think. I don't know. Perhaps I'm just addicted to adrenaline spikes, adrenalina por ver los muertos tirados. Puta madre que cerote, a la verga. Looking for a reason to unleash those powerfully foul words again, except I'm a teacher, a mom, a gringa. I can't forget I was born a gringa from there. No, from here, I'm here. Now here, up in this place. The place that sent the weapons, the money, the napalm, the torture. Fuck. I'm here now watching that hijo de puta from afar through tweets and photos, live stream on trial for genocide, and I feel stupid, helpless, cowardly. We're safe now, except we can't let go. I don't think I can let go. I put on my crown of thorns and I wait for Viernes Santo, Viernes de Luto, Viernes de Dolores to nurse my suffering, because I'm a faithful Chapina. O sea, I want to be a good Chapina. Is it okay to feel Chapina? Good Friday is where I need to be. There may never be an Easter.
Dear beloved, I hope you found these lines palatable, essential to your very being, feeling like the very reason you exist was bring order to this word scramble. They were arranged on this rose-colored papyrus with careful consideration. I know presentation is everything to you. I've tried to serve these stanzas with conviction, lest I be convicted for not shoving oppressors overboard from their errant vessels to drown in my streams of consciousness. I pray that my words entice you, edible enough to ingest into your system and fill you with the sustenance you need to run the race that you were never meant to enter. Should my poeting displease you, and you find yourself choking on my flawed exclamations, please allow me to apply the Heimlich by crossing out the offending terms. Last but not least, beloved, I wanted to express my thanks. You've weathered the storms of my rants, soapbox chants, lovelorn librettos, and acts of contrition. Though I must warn you, the pages contained in this next volume must be just as strong to withstand the fallout from this erupting volcano rose. And
the tears don't help you work. They blur the screen, leaving you trying to scrub wet salt and horror off your hands. Recreate, reinvent the memory of every other pain you've tried to write away. Your voice gets hoarse. Your instrument becomes your torment. Because you can't cry. It strangles the syllables. You can't breathe shallow. You need the air in your passages to tell the truth. And anyway, what good does it do? Your sisters still get shot for going about their lives for no good reason. Going about their lives for no good reason. I am tired of writing poems mourning Black women who were just minding their own damned business. You read the reports and your eyes begin to burn. And there is no use in crying. Crying doesn't stop bullets. Crying doesn't stop insanity. Crying doesn't stop the threat of being murdered for playing games with children, smoking a cigarette, boiling water, sleeping. But you have to know. You have to read the reports and watch the videos and suffer. You have to feel like the weight of 1,000 years is never going to be off your shoulders because their names need to be said at least once in celebration of their lives, just once in celebration of their lives, not as martyr or icon or the reason for a revolution, just spoken as person, as people. As women just trying to make a way through, make it through, live. As people, as person. Live without the threat of becoming the focus of a movement. But your eyes burn. And you rebuke yourself. Run to your pen, try and make it right the only way you know how. Try to make it right the only way left to you. Try not to tremble while you write the piece. Sing the piece. Your eyes are burning, but you can't try. Don't try. Not where anyone can see you. Remind yourself, this has happened before. You know the drill. Why are you surprised? This has happened before. You can't give up. You can't give up the right to be surprised and hurt and desperate. So hurt, so exhausted, so desperate. Because someone has to sing all their song. Someone has to mix the pain, anger, salt, sweat, streaming, utter betrayal produced by this country into ink that breathes firestorms. Because the tears alone, the tears don't help you do the work.
All right, everyone. I'm speechless. I can't get the words out, Stacey. What did I write?
What advice would you give to aspiring women poets seeking to make a change and share their empowering stories?
Yes.
That's what you said. I'm going to translate for you.
Thank you.
Ladies, Tell our little sisters how to blow it up.
Stand flat-footed. Somebody or somewhere is going to tell you that you shouldn't say the thing that you're about to say the way you're about to say it, and for whatever time you will say it in. Nobody else can tell the story of the moment that you're living through other than you. Don't let anybody take that away. Because whatever it is, no matter how small or specific or personal it feels, it saves somebody else. It inspires somebody else. Don't let anybody stop you. Don't let yourself stop you.
Wow.
Don't let yourself stop you. You got that right, Zadika.
It's your narrative. You may
It's
be
your narrative?
you may be very well breaking generational curses you didn't know that were there because you spoke something into the atmosphere. So when you do speak, don't speak to try to impress somebody else. Don't speak anticipating what you think someone is going to think you're about to say. Just make it plain. Just make it plain. Speak it in a way that you authentically would speak your own words, your own voice. Because if you try to go through life trying to impress someone else, you are going to fail miserably. You are not going to please everyone. Don't go out of your way to impress everyone. And I'm speaking from experience. I don't speak to impress people. I speak because I have something to say. Everyone has something to say. So
Yes, I would say to you, welcome to the poetic community. It is a community that is uplifting, welcoming, supportive, will support you when you're ready, will help you if you're not. Come through.
Tell her or him or them that we are all from the divine and we are all connected. When I hurt you, I hurt myself. When you hurt me, you hurt yourself. So always share love, share positivity, be on your highest vibe, because what you put out there will come back to you 1,000-fold.
Oh, I would say, or I want to say that your words matter, your life matters. And we see you.
I would say, even if you're shaking, even if you're crying, say what you need to say. Sometimes the shaking and crying becomes less over time, or sometimes it just never goes away. But you got to go up there and say, if you have that pull, listen to it.
And the last word goes to Stacey.
Bring your heart and your A game. Say what it is that you need to say. Stay out of your own way. Just because you might have to say something 1,000 times doesn't make it any the less valuable. It just means there's 1,000 more people who get to hear it. But more than anything else, always, always, always make sure that you are opening a way for other people who need to sing their songs too. That's not just a wish. That's not just a right. That is your mandate.
Wow. I'd like to thank all of you for joining me, taking over, allowing me to witness this brilliance.
Thank you, Michael.
Still craving poetry? Hundreds of episodes of the Quintessential Listening, Poetry Online Radio and YouTube podcast are available to listen to or download on iTunes, Spotify, and other streaming platforms. To learn more about the popular podcast or how to become a guest, visit www.QLPORYT.com. Till next time, take care and let poetry ring somewhere throughout the land.